Hi, I'm Jane Heller from Swiss Maid Fudge, and today I'm going to show you how to make a quick and easy treat for Easter. All of us that love peanut butter know there's no better combination than peanut butter and chocolate. So today I'm going to show you how to make a chocolate egg filled with delicious peanut butter. First, you want to start with about a pound of chocolate, and this you can melt easily in your microwave. I would start with about 1 minute intervals, stirring in between until it's completely melted. The most important thing is you don't want to overheat chocolate, so do it gradually. If you're new to working with chocolate, I would suggest using a compound coating. This is important because you don't have to temper it like pure chocolate. If you're interested in trying the tempering process, go to our website, swissmaidfudge.com, and you'll see some easy steps to try it for the first time. As you can see here, I've started the melting process. I have my chunks of chocolate, and it's just starting to melt. The important thing is your bowl is going to get warm as you melt it in the microwave, so I like to let it rest a little bit in between so that the chocolate doesn't get too hot. So this is after 1 minute. It's just starting to melt on the bottom. So I'm going to do another minute. I've been melting the chocolate now. This is after 3 minutes. So you can see it's quite liquid now, and the heat that's left in the bowl is actually going to finish melting the chunks that I have in here. Now, since I'm working with real chocolate, I'm going to be tempering mine. But again, if you're working with a compound coating, you'll only need to melt the chocolate and then you can pour it in your molds. Now, the next step in tempering is I'm going to take some of these chunks of chocolate and chop them up very finely and add them to the melted chocolate. This is going to bring the chocolate temperature down to 88 degrees, which is where I want it to be when I start putting it into the molds. Now the next thing I'm going to do is begin filling my molds with the melted chocolate. And the only thing I'm trying to do here is create a shell of chocolate. So I don't need to be worried about filling it all the way full. If you did want to do a solid egg, then you would fill it completely full. So I'm just using a spoon, and I'm using a plastic mold, but they also have the flexible molds available now, which makes it a lot easier to release the candy from the mold. Well, now that my molds are filled, I want to shake the chocolate down in there to get rid of any air bubbles. And I have filled the cavity pretty well by just moving the chocolate around. Now I'm going to flip the mold to get the chocolate out of the inside. And as you can see, it sticks to the bottom. And this helps me to create just a shell of chocolate. And I can reuse the chocolate that is releasing from the mold. All I'm going to do is let that harden, and then I can just simply pick it up off the paper and put it back in with my other chocolate to melt again another time. There, so now I just have a shell in my mold. So I'm going to put this in the refrigerator to let it harden, and it doesn't take very long, 5 minutes maybe at the most. And here is a finished mold. So these I'm going to pop out of here and begin filling with the peanut butter. And I'm not doing anything to the peanut butter. I'm just taking an all-natural peanut butter that has a little bit more oil in it, and I'm going to just fill the shells with that. So now I'm filling the molds with the peanut butter, and I'm putting about a teaspoonful, and I'm only going to do half the mold mold with the peanut butter filling. I'm going to leave the other half as the tops for these. So the last thing I'm going to do is fill a sandwich bag with some of the chocolate that's left in the bowl. And this is actually going to act as my glue for putting the shells together. So I'm just going to snip just the very tip of this so I don't get too much coming out at once. It will help me control the flow a little better. And I'm just simply going to pipe this around the outside of the egg. Just a thin border. And then I'll simply take one of the unfilled ones and place it on top. And this will act as my glue. And once it's set, which won't take long, I'll just be able to pop this out and I'll have my finished egg. Then the last thing I'm going to do is, if you have any holes that haven't been filled in with the first piping of chocolate, you can go back over it and just gently fill those in. And then sometimes if you have to work with them at all on your hands, it can tend to dull the chocolate a little bit. So just place it on a towel, and if you have a pastry brush, just gently brush it back and forth over the chocolate, and it'll bring back a nice sheen to it again. And now for the final test, the tasting part. This is the best part. Is that delicious? There's that creamy peanut butter filling in there with the dark chocolate. There's nothing better than that. Try this at home, and I think everyone will love it for Easter.